Figure it out.
Hello, this is Adam Koralik with Figure It Out Productions. The following video is part of our Quick Shoot series. Hey guys, it's Adam here, and today I'm going to show you how to clean up and hopefully restore a Model 1 Sega Saturn. I've already done this for the Model 2 Sega Saturn. You can feel free to check out that video if you like, though I warn you, there's not a whole lot of difference. But a lot of you asked me to do this, and I was actually, out of nowhere, was presented with a situation where I actually could, so I thought, what the hell. So this particular console, I'm not going to lie, I don't expect to actually be able to get it working. I found this in the dumpster. I'm not kidding. And in the back alley of my building, this was just there, a bunch amongst of garbage. It's in surprisingly good shape, all things considered, but it's extremely dusty, which implies it hasn't been used in a long time. So maybe it just hasn't been used in a long time and they threw it away because they didn't want it. I don't know. But there were no cables or controllers or games. Believe me, I looked. But yeah, so we'll see. At the very least, I can show you how to clean one up and hopefully get yours working, even if I can't get this one working. But we'll give it a shot. So basically, the first step we have to do here is open it. On the bottom, there are 5 screw points. There's one there, there's one there, there's one here, here, and here. So all it does is require a standard Phillips head screwdriver. Once you have all the screws out, all you got to do is kind of lift the lid off. And in doing so, you're going to pop this piece of plastic off the back. That's totally normal. And inside, we can see it's pretty dusty. Actually, look at that. I think there's a dead bug right there that kind of died inside the laser assembly. So, whatever. So what I think we're going to do is we're going to completely take out the innards here and get to the plastic part at the bottom so that we can clean it up. Though to start, we'll take the lid, which is the dustiest part. All I'm going to do with this is I'm going to take it to the sink and rub it down with some soap and water and just try to get as much of the dust out of there as I can. Do it on both sides. I could take it apart even more, but it's really not necessary, and it's kind of a pain in the ass to put back together. Alright, I've washed it all up. It looks very nice. Along with this piece, I should have mentioned before, you want to clean that up. But yeah, huge improvement. But let's put it off to the side and let it begin to dry, and let's bring in the console itself here. Now, of course, like I said, we're going to want to strip this all down. So let's, there's any number of places you could start, but what I suggest is, let's start with the power supply. There's a screw right there. So go ahead and remove that, and yeah, we'll just do this slowly. Also take this clip here and just kind of lift up, pinch it, and yeah, then disconnect the power supply like that. We'll remove that one, and as well as, you'll see there's 2 screws right there. Remove those as well. Alright, I've got both of the rear screws out as well as that one, so at this point you can pretty much just lift the power supply out, although you should note that it's connected here through these like teeth, so you have to be kind of careful, but you want to lift there and apply some pressure, and you'll get the part out just like that, and then take our power supply and move it off to the side. There's this little plastic piece back here as well. Feel free to remove this, and that's easy. There's a little clip there on the side that will make that easier. Then you just wedge that up and move it to the side. This way you can get to the power supply cable here. And you're going to want to get this power switch off. So in order to do that, you just kind of pop to the side and it'll just come up and off like that. And then you'll see there's 2 screws there. So you're going to want to go ahead and remove those. Of course, once the screws are out, this thing is easily removed, which you want to do. And then you can look in front here by the controller port. There's one there, and one there. So you might as well go ahead and remove those. I've gotten this screw out and I loosened both of these. I can't quite get them to come out on their own given the shape, but that's okay. What you're going to do at this point is take this little ribbon, which is plugged in here, and disconnect it. This is the way the controller communicates with the console. And then you're going to lift up here and just kind of disconnect that. There you go. And now you should have a much easier time getting to those screws. So once you have those 2 screws out, which it's worth noting that they're both longer, along with this one, these 3 are longer than the other ones we've been using, so make a note of that. You're going to go ahead and take this board out. Now, some models of the Model 1 Saturn, this isn't like a separate board, but I'm sure you'll be able to figure it out. Move this off to the side. And now, what you're going to do is look around the edges of the motherboard. You'll see a screw there, back there, down here, and you're just going to go ahead and remove those screws. Remember what I was telling you about these 3 being bigger? It turns out they're all that size. The only 3 that are different are the 2 that were right here at the beginning and the one in the power supply, so remember that. Those are smaller. Now, moving on, we have to get the laser assembly at least partially disconnected before we can move on. So there's this little screw here holding this like weird almost metal ribbon, and it's on the left side. There's two holes. I don't know why, but the left one has a screw, the right one doesn't. So remember that when we're putting it back together. So you're just going to want to take a screwdriver, obviously, and disconnect that, which is relatively easy. And that'll give us a little bit more slack here. And you can lift the laser up like this. Now, you should disconnect this ribbon right here from the board. Those are kind of a pain in the ass to put back in, so I don't want to do that. Underneath, you'll see that there is another screw here, right there in the center. If you can see that, right there. So disconnect that. Once you've done that, you'll have this piece, which you're just going to put off to the side, and you should be able to basically take the motherboard out at this point. There's really no resistance left anymore. So you're going to want to probably sit the laser back on those rubber things and put it off to the side. And you'll see down here you have the bottom RF shield, which you're going to take out. And that leaves you with just the bottom plastic piece. So you're going to just do what you did before, which is take this and go clean it up with some soap and water and try to get it nice and new. So it's been rinsed and cleaned up. It looks a hell of a lot better. Now I'm just going to put it off to the side and let it dry. And I'll bring in some of these other pieces like this one. There's also this thing. And there's the bottom RF shield. If you want, you can clean these up in the same way. I mean, there's no electronics in this, so soap, water, and clean them up, get dust off of them. I've cleaned up these parts, so they are looking better. Go ahead and put those off to the side as well, again, just to let them dry. And now we're going to start bringing in our boards. Now we have a couple of different ones here. We got the power supply, and we have, of course, this main, the controller board piece. In my particular case, neither of them are actually particularly dirty, so all I'm going to do, I think, is going to blow some compressed air on it. In my case, I have the electric duster by DataVac. I'm just going to blow air on it and just see whatever dust I can get off, but there doesn't seem to be much, so we'll just do that real quick here. Yeah, not much I could do there. If you want, you can take a Q-tip, which I'll just grab right here. You can take a Q-tip and just kind of put it in the controller board a little bit and just see whatever, little bits of dust you can get out of there, which is always good. Makes it more likely that it'll have a strong, reliable connection with the controller. Though in this case, there's really not much coming off there. So yeah, I guess we can just move on to the next part, which would be the, well, I guess you could take this cable as well and see if there's any big dust clumps. Sometimes they form around the power switch. But again, in this case, there doesn't seem to be any. So we'll take the main board and we'll do basically the exact same thing, which is we're just going to, again, blow some air on it. Now, of course, you're going to want to do that to your heart's content, depending on how much dust there is. In this case, there seems to be dust on the laser assembly, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some Windex and just kind of clean, get some on a Q-tip here, and use it just to get, dust off like this. And then I think I'll just go ahead and do like a spot cleaning around just to see whatever big clumps of dust have formed anywhere. Probably get inside this back part here and just kind of, rub it around, of course, on the RF shielding, etc. Just do that. Just get like a basic cleaning and get as much dust off there as you can. Alright, I've gotten a bunch of the dust out of there. It's definitely improved. So there's really only one other thing. Well, okay, there's two other things we can do, but only one of which I'm going to do unless I absolutely have to. So the thing I'm going to do is, again, I'm just going to take some Windex, also known as Windoline in certain countries, and spray that on a Q-tip like this. And then we're going to very, 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 very gently clean the laser assembly right here. You just kind of rub it a couple of times on the lens and just get, little bits of dust and dirt that have likely collected on there. And then swap it over to the dry side and just do the exact same thing. Just be extremely gentle about it. And there you go. The other thing you can do, which I'm only going to do if it turns out it's not working, and I think that would solve it, is the Saturn is notorious for having the laser mechanism sink a little bit, and as a result it's unable to play discs. So what you do in those instances is you take like a knife or you take like a screwdriver and you kind of wedge it underneath and kind of spring it up, but you do it very gently, because you really need this thing to raise like 0.5 millimeter. You know, it's really a small amount. But that can be the difference between getting it to work and having it not do anything. So I will only do it if it's necessary. We'll see. So at this point, in my particular case, I'm just going to let the console's plastic dry, let the RF shielding dry, and then we'll put it back together. However, if you have like alright, see these little white scuff marks on the inside of the console here? These were put on by Sega probably to mark where they should put things. I don't really know. But if you have anything like that on the outside of the console and you want to get rid of it, this would be the time to do it. What you'll use is Mr. Clean's Magic Eraser. It's like this little, basically like a really fine sandpaper. You just kind of put it over the like the point, and you just kind of, you know, wipe back and forth until it goes away. It's also known as, apparently it's called Flash in certain countries, like the UK. And I highly recommend it for stuff like this, but be careful. It can take logos off. So like if I were to put it on the Sega logo right here on the Saturn, right there, it would just take that off. So be careful where you use it. But beyond that, it's time to basically just wait and let this stuff air dry. The plastic is dry, so it's time to put the console back together. We're going to take the lid, move that off to the side, and bring in just the bottom piece. We'll bring in the RF shield piece and just kind of sit that back into place. Should go in relatively easily, just like that. Then you'll take your board and kind of align that. That should just kind of snap in. You may not hear anything. There's nothing really to click it on, but you'll kind of just tell because it's sturdy. So at that point, what you're going to want to do is put in that bottom screw, if you guys remember that part. This is going to be a little bit tricky, but if you remember, the laser assembly here kind of just pops off like this, and you put it up to the side. And you're going to take this thing, you remember this one, and you have to screw this part back into place. So go ahead and do that. Once this screw is in place, you're going to take the laser assembly and just kind of sit it back into the 4 rubber spots there, and then take this little piece that kind of goes over, and that super tiny little screw, and you're going to put it in on the one that's closer to the laser assembly. Remember again that there are 2 potential spots that could go in, so just make sure to put it in the one that's closer to the laser assembly. Once you've got this one locked in, you're going to go around the edges of the motherboard, and there's going to be a total of 6 screws. One will be right here, right there, on either side of this cartridge slot, one right here, one right there, and one over here. Not this one down here, not that one. So now we have to take the next part, which is this little controller board, and you're going to just kind of slide it in right, you know, like this, so that it basically goes through the plastic front there. Once it fits through, you should be fine. And then you're going to take this thing, and you have to kind of ignore the ribbon part for a moment, and you have to kind of, this is going to be a little difficult, you kind of have to wedge this under this part here and then like connect it there. But see, once you kind of get all the pieces lined up, it should fit just fine. And take your ribbon cable and just plug that right into place. If you don't do that, then you know the controllers won't work. Now there's 3 screw points, 2 here and 1 right there, and you have 3 remaining long screws. So I think you can figure out what to do. Once these are all taken care of, what you're going to do is take this power ribbon and just kind of feed it through the back here. You know, just kind of make sure it kind of wraps in between these 2 little towers, if you will, and then just kind of rests back there. And then take 2 of these smaller brass screws and put them in there. We're going to take that weird piece of plastic and put that in place. So make sure this ribbon is kind of comfortably underneath here, like wedged inside this track. Take the piece of plastic with this like hole side there and just kind of fit it in here like this. And you're going to have to probably, you know, pick this up a little bit and kind of wedge it into place, but ultimately, it should look like that. The cable will sit under there. This will be locked in there. This will be comfortably on there. Then you take your power supply and pull this back a little bit and let it just kind of sit down, and then push. There's like little pitchfork-like things there that have to go through this part. So there you go. Sits in there, and that's in place. And then you take your little power cable here and reconnect it like that, and your power cable is officially reconnected. Now there's a couple of screws that have to go in there. There's one little brass one that will go in right here on this port, and then there's 2 little black ones that go right here in the back right there. The next thing you need to do is take that little power button, which hopefully you cleaned because this is solid plastic as well, and you just kind of fit that right back on there. No problem. Now it's time to put the lid on. This can actually be surprisingly tricky, largely because the reset button here is, as you can see, just very wobbly thing, and it has to fit really inside this little space there. So this I may not get this in one go, but essentially all you really do is just kind of sit it back into place. But if the reset button, as you can see there, it didn't pop up. If it didn't pop up, that means it didn't quite sit correctly, and it'll probably take you a couple of tries before you finally get it. But ultimately, you know, you will. Obviously, once you've got it there, it's, you know, it'll be springy and it'll work. Of course, you got to take this back piece and fit that into place right there. You know, just kind of sit in. Without the screws in there, it may not snap into place necessarily, but of course, that's why we're about to do the next step. As you recall, there are 5 screws that go at the bottom. They're all black. There's one here, and 2 back there. All right, got the console back together, and it looks pretty good, I think, especially considering its source, its origin, but we're not quite done. We can actually improve it a little bit more. What we're going to try to do is bring out a nice shiny luster and make it look a little bit more like it would have looked when it was originally released. In order to do that, we're going to be using Pledge. In this case, Orange Pledge. You could use most versions of Pledge, except moisturizing. Don't use that. I've heard mixed results with that. But basically all you do with this is you take a paper towel and you just kind of spray some on, and then just, you know, rub it around like this. And you're going to probably need more than that. But yeah, basically you just rub it around the top, the bottom, the sides, etc. The front, of course. And just kind of give it a nice shiny glow. And then basically leave it and let it sit for, I don't know, 10 minutes. And there we go. I think it turned out pretty well. Yeah, seriously, look at that. Nice, shiny, looks really, really good. I didn't even notice until now, but apparently there's a chip in it right there. Yeah, well, you know, not surprising, again, considering its origin. Now, there's one thing I didn't do with this, you guys might have noticed, especially when I mentioned the cartridge slot. We never cleaned that. That was intentional. We're going to do that now, believe it or not, because cleaning a Saturn cartridge slot is oddly difficult, and I find that this method, even though it kills me to do it this way, because it's, in general, it's not really recommended to do this, but with the Saturn, even like I have a cartridge cleaning kit, and even with that, it's really hard to clean this. So here's what I recommend. Take a Saturn memory card, not a Game Shark, specifically Game Shark. In fact, never use a Game Shark on the Sega Saturn. That thing has thick pins. It'll stretch the pins out permanently, and only a Game Shark will work on it after that. None of the memory cards or action replays ever will. So, yeah, tidbit of advice there. But get a normal memory card or a regular action replay. This happens to be a Japanese memory card. You take it and you get some Windex or window lean, depending on where you are in the world, and spray some on the Q-tip here. And put some on the card just very gently, like this, on the contacts, both sides. And then you basically use this as a cartridge cleaner. You put it in the console and just kind of do that a few times, and then go back and rub the the contacts again. This time, more thoroughly. And if there's any dust that was inside the cartridge slot, it will have transferred here. And as you can see, yeah, there was. So you might want to repeat that process a few times. And I know the temptation is to do that with all your cartridge consoles. I don't recommend that process. I really don't. But in this case, this is a very unique case, so that you got to do. But basically, go ahead and do that to your heart's content. And then in my case, yeah, I'll do that a couple more times, but then I'm going to go ahead and test this thing. And it's going to be such a shame if it doesn't work, right? I mean, look at it. It looks fucking beautiful. But I'm not going to lie, I'm really not expecting it to, though maybe it will. Saturns are built like tanks, so we'll see. Let's go ahead and find out. Got the console all set up. Let's turn it on, hope for power. Ooh, shit, we got power. Ooh, we got an access light. Hell yes. Look up at the screen here. We have, oh my god, we have the dashboard. And not surprisingly, the battery inside does not work. Yes, it's 1994. That's definitely true. And switch past that. Now here's the moment of truth. Will it actually read the disc or not? I hear it doing stuff. You guys hear that shit? Oh yes. Haha, that's awesome. Holy crap, we actually saved the Saturn. I'm not gonna lie, I am I'm genuinely surprised by that. I was not expecting this to work. To be brutally honest, I really thought this was gonna fail. Wow. Alright, damn man, Saturns really are built like tanks. Holy shit. Well, that's awesome. Free new Saturn I got there, and now in pretty good shape, minus, you know, basically that chip there. Yeah, that's awesome. So there you go, guys. Saturns, man. You should always try to fix them, because apparently most of the time they're going to work. I've never had one fail on me, at least not permanently. So there you go. I hope that it helps anybody who needed to clean up a Model 1 Saturn. Model 2 Saturn's pretty similar. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all later.